Canine Detection Collaborative. We bring the conversation straight to you. Training tips and helpful hints you'll actually use. Real insights from real experts with a side of laughs. Canine Detection Collaborative is where it's at. It all comes down to just one thing, helping our dogs be the best they can be. Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hey everybody, it's Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and I'm here with my stupendous co-host, Robin Greubel.
Hello.
And a very, very, very special guest, Bob Deeds.
Can I be stupendous also?
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's
Okay,
implied.
Thank you.
That's implied.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Yeah, that's implied.
That's implied.
Yeah.
You're absolutely allowed to be stupendous.
All right.
So I know the last time we had Bob on not too long ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, we should do this again and have Bob back.
Yes.
So we're having Bob back.
We're having Bob back. So welcome again to our insanity,
Yes.
Bob. And just really, really happy to have you here.
Good to be here.
Yeah. And I know we did one of those things where after we get off and we just kind of keep talking and we're like, wow, it's really cool stuff. And that kind of fuels a lot of, wanting to continue conversations and stuff like that. So the topic today, we're really going to be edging on the sport side today. And it's just, we've had these conversations. And I have to say, from a personal perspective, I've noticed since I've gotten more on the working side of it, doing the search and rescue with my dog and everything like that, and how it's improved and changed some of the feedback and the coaching that I've given to my sport students, and how I've seen huge improvements on that side. And it's been such an amazing compliment to my own training that I think we're going to be kind of getting into kind of some of those similarities today, and how the one kind of feeds and props up and kind of levels up the other in a lot of cases. So
it goes both ways.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have the other way, the experience. I just have the one way.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
our sport people are actually our working dog people know that if you want to watch people who are really, really good at reading body language for dogs and odor, watch your sport people, because holy buckets. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to be a Midwest phrase.
Holy buckets.
Holy buckets. Yeah. Hadn't heard that one before.
Maybe it's an
Holy
Iowa farm
buckets.
phrase.
Yeah,
Holy bucket.
I don't know.
I guess it is.
That's got to be, yeah. Well, I'm going to have to kind of learn the lingo, I guess.
I guess I need to,
Midwest.
because if I go up for a workshop, I need to be able to talk the lingo up there. So holy buckets needs to be in my vocab.
Do you have a vocabulary list, Robin?
Yes, we do have a glossary. So to kind of spin everybody up,
Put that on the glossary. Holy buckets.
Holy buckets needs to go. Well, here's me. You're asking me if we have a glossary. And I'm like, of course, Bob and I have a glossary for the workshops. We even have a bibliography because this is how we do things.
We even have a Bubba glossary.
We do have a Bubba glossary,
Yes.
which is the science terms overlaid directly with the slang for trainers.
Oh, okay. Well, where's Holy Buckets going?
I don't know.
You'll have to think through that one.
Just kind of
find a place for it.
like squee-wad.
Ski-wad. Yes, ski-wad.
Yeah,
needs to
ski-wad.
go in.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one I know. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had to infer, like, when you learn new vocabulary, you just learn by inference.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I've done a lot of that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, okay. Sidebar.
we digress.
Yeah, so I guess what we were saying is that it does go both ways, right? And I know as somebody that grew up on the sports side, I experienced the a very complementary leveling up of my own skills by adding in other skills. And I think what you're saying, Robin, is that if you're on the working dog side, that you can get that same kind of benefit by really paying attention and watching some good sport handlers and how, or leveraging some of your sport trainers to see what are they seeing, what are they, some of the approaches to training and that sort of thing. And I know, that's a lot of what you and I do a lot, just kind of, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
it was interesting because for Cliff Notes version, for everybody who's piping in to listen, Bob just spent a week. Literally, he got home at the time of recording this, he got home yesterday from coming up for a week where we did curriculum for the chicken workshops. And that was lots of carbohydrates. But it was interesting as we're sitting in the training building, developing curriculum, to have all of these conversations about dogs working and the whole concept around everything still goes back to these fundamental principles that we're working on. And Bob's got a really cute little puppy that's about the same age as Raven. And we were talking about how they're just squirrels at 6 months old.
Yeah.
But Bob's even seen some of the odor work stuff that's coming out of his little girl and how that is confidence building and running around out in the woods and all sorts of things. So it's been kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That sounds like a great week. I mean, I know you guys worked your tails off.
Yeah.
Like quite literally.
We had brain bleeds every night.
We did.
I'm actually kind of impressed that both of you are speaking coherently today. So
it would really tell you what, it was a cool experience though, doing that, getting to immerse. And you know, I'm a geek, I admit it. And I love to be able to get inside of that stuff and pull it apart. You know, I was the kind of kid that my mom would buy me a toy and I'd have it taken apart within about an hour, you know, to see how it worked. Yeah. Yeah.
My dog does that with his toy.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. So,
and get that squeaker out.
Yeah. And I know where Bob's now you're doing Geo-Scenting.
Geo-Scenting. Yeah.
What is that?
It's a deal where I started. This was about the same time that they started in NACSW.
Oh, wow.
I started thinking, what can I do that's safe for my dogs that would be a lot of fun? And this was all born out of a Dog Scout camp.
Okay.
Dog Scouts, you know, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you earn merit badges with your dog. And when I first heard that, I thought that was like the dumbest thing in the world. But anyway, it turned out to totally suck me in because that's the first time that I had really worked on that level with good pet dog trainer type people and got to see what these people could do. It was absolutely amazing. But anyway, this was after I'd had a dog killed in the line of duty. Kenzie was killed in the line of duty in 2007. And they had a badge where it was called a geocaching badge. And for those of you that don't know what geocaching is, you're basically within probably 10 or 15 miles of where anybody lives in the US now, there's going to be at least 3 to 100 or more caches. And people can go out and get on geocaching.com. You look up the coordinates, you can put it right in your phone. You can go out and it'll get you close to it and you have to find it. It may be a film size canister that's in a tree, you know, and you got to find where it is. Or it may be a little waterproof box that's underneath the root system at the base of the tree. And you've got to figure out where it is. Well, I took Gracie, who was my FEMA dog, live find dog at the time, out with me into the woods to find a geocache. You know, it wasn't scented or anything. This was before I started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out there and I found it. And I'm like really excited because I found it. And she's looking at me like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. Where is little Timmy? You know, that's all she wanted to do. It's like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. And she was bored out of her gourds. You know, she started off really exciting, you know, waiting for me to give that search cue. And I never did. And we went out and I found it. And she said, this is backwards. I'm supposed to be doing the heavy lifting. And it was horrible. Anyway, so I started thinking about it. And I don't even really remember how it popped into my head. But I thought, you know what, this would be cool to put some scent on there. And I started thinking about that. I started mulling that around. And then NACSW came out and I started looking at that. And I'm going, oh, wow, this is really cool. And I started looking at the odors that they had and where they started with their odor. And I thought, well, cool, I'll take one of those. But then I even thought a little bit further because, and you guys know this, you start training somebody working with a client,
Mhm.
you know, and that client's doing really well. And they go to a seminar and they come back and they've changed everything they're doing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And you've seen that. Some of it may be good, some of it may not be good.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating for you as a trainer to be able to develop that student with continuity and stuff. I actually took that thought in mind. And so I picked the third oil, the clove oil.
Okay.
And it had another benefit too. And I don't even know this may apply to the other two. I don't know. But I know on clove oil it doesn't attract insects.
Oh yeah. Birch and ant. Well, I know birch does.
Birch does. Okay. See, I didn't even know it, but I picked clove really for that other aspect. And then later when I went back, I thought, oh, I need to see if this thing is attracting insects, and it wasn't. And then I started actually reading up on it. So like most things, I do it all backwards. But anyway, I started reading up on it, and I figured out that, oh, it's sometimes even used in natural herbicides.
Oh.
No.
Herbicides,
Insect, pest
insect repellent and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, that's cool. So anyway, I used that thinking that by the time they get to that odor, they're going to have some experience. They're going to be less likely, if they ask me a question for me to tell them something, they're going to be less likely to just take what I say at face value and more likely to actually start to do it with the help of their instructor and stuff like that. So that was my goal. So in 2012, I had enough people doing it where I did a train the trainers deal at All for Fun in Dallas, Paula Weir's place down there. And we had, I think there were like 12 people that had working spots. And then we had 24 or 30 people attend. And so it was a pretty cool group. But I trained 12 people and gave them like certification as Geo-Scent trainers, and they started going out. And of course, now I'm not pushing the Geo-Scent trainer thing. If you want to do it and you're already doing scent work, you've already got the skills to go out and do it. And it's really cool. If a lot of the caches, of course, there's 3.5 million geocaches worldwide. Okay. And so there's a minuscule amount scented. Like in Texas, I'm sure there's probably, I would not be surprised if there's not over, 50 now around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is not that many. The short time that we've been doing it here in Tennessee, we probably have over 30, I'm going to guess, that are scented. So, early on, you may have to go out and you actually find it, then go get your dog, after you've scented it, let your dog run on it and let them do it. And the cool thing about this, if you have a dog that's newer to scent work, you can start 10 feet away.
Right.
If you have a dog like you're running one of your dogs on it, I recommend that you do it from several acres away.
Yeah.
And the scent will actually stay on that geocache. It'll stay on there for well over a year. I know I've checked back on one at a year and a half, and it was still there. And I went ahead and did a drop on it anyway, but it was still there. But anyway, it's just a blast. And it's one of these things that, you know how much money it costs to trial. You especially know.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah. And how cool is it? You go trial, you get through with your trial that day, and then you go do something totally separate. Just go out in the woods, find one of these things, let your dog run on another one, especially if you've had a successful run that day, you do it as a thank you to your pup for having a good run. If you didn't have good runs, you do it to your day to kind of juice them up a little bit. But it's just something that people can do. I've been hammered by a lot of people saying, oh man, you've got to, you really need to capitalize on this. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care if I make any money off of it or not. I want to do it for people to have fun.
Yeah.
I did it because it's something you can do with your dog that is safe.
Yeah.
I know what that feeling's like to lose a dog.
Yeah.
That I was responsible for keeping safe. That's kind of my gift to everybody else as a memorial to her. anyway, that's what Geo-Scenting is. So
Cool.
and I've had some people jump on me and say, "Well, you didn't think of that." And I said, "Well, yeah, actually I did." Well, we were doing that at the same time, and I'm like, "Good for you." I still thought of it, but I'm sure other people. In fact, I know of at least two other people that are doing it and were doing it either at that time or shortly after, and I don't care.
Right.
Take it, call it your own, and do it, and I'm still perfectly happy with it.
So you're out right now coaching people and training people to do this. What are some of the things that you have seen your Geo-Scenting students doing that quote unquote professional dog trainers or dog detection people would get out of it?
Yeah, let me back up to something else first. This is one of the huge things. This is something I believe with all my heart. When we first started doing the scent stuff, we were doing I started experimenting with the box training that they do early on with the NACSW that the trainers do. We just put the word out that we were going to do this. Karen and I both did. Most of Karen's clients are people that are having behavior issues with their dogs. So they have dogs that have zero confidence, reactive, all sorts of stuff. And so we included it for everybody. And we worked out a way we could put screens up in the room to hide people from the dogs so the dogs could work and be comfortable and stuff like that. And what blew me away when we started doing this was the level of confidence that I saw start to develop. And I can quantify it. I can look at latency for the dog to start searching. I could count how many times the dog did a shake off during the course of searching. I could document the number of times the dog yawned. There's all this stuff that I could look at to document this stuff. But it was so blaringly apparent when you see a Mastiff that you could not even get to walk in the door of the room because there were people in that room that was so terrified of other people that by about 8 weeks into this dog wouldn't start working until it said hello to everybody in the room.
That's awesome.
And would work for 10 or 12 minutes. I'd set up these really elaborate puzzles and it would work for 10 or 12 minutes straight to solve this puzzle and figure out. It knew where odor was, but it couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
And when you saw this dog doing that confidence level, man, it juiced me. And I think I mentioned this last time. Yeah, I get excited about watching a working dog work, but you really want to get me excited. Let me watch a pet dog that is stretching their confidence level into a whole new dog. And man, that is the juice right there. That's cool stuff. But things that when I'm an NACSW judge, and when I watch people that are really good at this sport, the first thing that I see that is absolutely amazing is I see them walk in, let's say they're doing interiors, and I see them walk into the room and I'll look at their eyes to see what their eyes are doing. And their eyes are like, chung, 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 going all over the room. And I know what they're doing is they're processing that room from the moment they walk in. And, I know handlers on Rubble and I know some police dog handlers that basically look at things as where's the wind coming from? That's kind of the top level of their assessment. They don't do a lot more than that. And I'm thinking the benefit that they could get from watching really good scent work people under the gun, because you got a time limit.
Oh, yeah.
You can't stand there forever and figure this out. You got to do it quick. And I watch that and it's amazing.
I'm sorry, but if anybody's listening and you do that and you've had Bob as your judge and you're one of my students, I just want to give you a big pat on the back. So good job.
Yeah. I'm big on that. In fact, I do entire seminars on that first 25 seconds, what
awesome.
you do.
Yes.
So that's a huge thing. The other thing is leash handling skills. Okay. Of course, being a FEMA handler, my leash handling skills occurred mostly in the airport.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine too.
And so I remember going to a bite sport seminar up at Chad Byerly's place up in Columbus. Went up there and we had a guy named Guy Penning who came in from Belgium, and Guy's a great guy. He was watching me work. This was Remy, who was my last HR dog with FEMA. And he was watching me work Remy and doing leash work with him. And he goes, your leash, he's saying this in broken English. How do I say it? Your leash skills suck. That's what he said. So like I stayed up a major portion of the next night in the bathroom, doing leash stuff in front of the mirror so I could watch what I was doing. But I've watched handlers, and I've actually probably learned more watching scent work handlers that are good at leash work handle leashes than I ever learned. In fact, I've even incorporated that into seminars.
That's awesome.
This is what I've learned. So that is another thing. The reading body language thing is off the chart. I know that you don't really mess with like a final train response.
Not with my sport dogs. No.
Yeah, with a sport dog, it's a timed event. It's a timed event. Why take that 0.2, 0.3 or a half second for the dog to figure out where to piddle around and put their rear end down? I'd rather save that time right there at the end. I was so against that when I first started. When I started really paying attention to time and where people were losing and started to look at that, I realized, wow, not only is it beneficial, but you also have to be really good at reading your dog.
Yeah.
Really good at reading your dog. That's the biggest part. Now, as far as differences in the defense of people doing the sport or doing the real world stuff out in the, and I'll use disaster as an example.
Yeah.
Our focus is different. Yes, we have to find that person, but our first priority is keeping that dog safe.
Right.
That's our first priority. And we rely on a lot of other people to do it. We have the luxury. Now, granted, it's a timed event too. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying you have all day. You don't. The axiom search is an emergency. It's true. But worst case scenario, if I'm having trouble figuring out what's happening in an area, and let's say that a safety officer or an engineer has not given me permission to go up on that pile, I can still pull my dog off the pile. I can go around it dropping powder on the outside. I can look. I can talk to another handler. What are your thoughts? I have a lot of luxury to be able to do that stuff. And it's necessary because we have to keep our dogs alive. Once the dog's done that way, nobody's benefiting from it. So that's a huge difference. But the big things, again, being able to read your dog, being able to handle a leash really well, being able to assess the environment quickly. Those are things that I see that put the scent work and the trial people on a phenomenal level, equal to or even above a lot of the working dog people. They've been forced to do it. So they figured out a way to do it.
And if we start thinking about all of that for certifications, especially for the FEMA stuff,
right?
I can usually, depending on how you're walking into the pile, right? You get a lot of information out of your dog as you're walking to the pile.
Right.
Because you can watch that nose up. You can watch all of those things. And the other things that tends to, I was just thinking about this as you were talking, because like Moses, the person he found was outside our search area.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't paid attention, well, okay, I didn't pay attention to him when we were there. But now that I look back at it, it was a huge lesson about trust your training, start outside your search area, and odor doesn't obey boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there was an early search my volunteer team had. It's really sad. I don't remember if I was on the team then and there, or if I've just heard the story so many times that I can picture it. But anyway, they were outside of a nursing home. It was a walk away, and they'd been looking for that person for hours and hours, maybe even over a day. And the whole time they're standing there at the briefing, the first dog that was going to run was out of the crate on leash. and kept pulling the handler into the bushes, and the handler kept correcting the dog.
Oh,
And
no.
while we were talking, and finally, when we broke to go, the dog pulled into the bushes one more time, and the handler followed him. The person was in the bushes off of the front door by about 3 feet. And we found her. She was alive. Life was good. You know, it was fine.
Okay.
But isn't that, yeah, she was alive.
Oh,
Lots of lessons there.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, you know. My dog scout group did a T-shirt with me on the front of it, or a caricature of me looking at a GPS while a Malinois behind me with its nose up on a tree, and the caption is "Trust your dog, stupid." So anyway,
Here is my whole pitch. You can trust your dog, but you should trust your training first.
yes.
bingo. Trust the training, trust the science.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bob, coming from the working dog world into the nose work world,
Right.
right? What's some of the things that you really wish your sport dog handlers would take away?
Great question.
I wish the sport dog handlers would. I think so many times, and part of this it may even be funding issue, but sport dog handlers have a tendency to be very clique-ish. And I'm talking in general, not across the board. I know you have studied with a lot of people and you pick up information wherever you can.
Yes.
But a lot of sport dog people will work with one person because they're AKC.
Okay.
And then if you do NACSW, well, we can't bring you in because we compete in AKC. And imprinting and search strategy and all of that stuff doesn't change. It doesn't matter what venue it is. It doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
The science is still the same. So that's one of the things that, and it will happen eventually. I think it will evolve and people will be more likely to go to different people to learn different things. I've gone all over the place to study with different people. Some people I agree with, some people I disagree with, but I want to go for that one thing that I've cherry picked that I like. And maybe it's making me think, wow, I could do something similar this way.
Yes.
And so I'll go study with people to do that. I don't see that enough in the industry. Right now, it's at a point, you know how stuff will start out kind of up here and then it gets worse before it gets better. Right now, we're at the it gets worse phase. And I think part of that too was coming out of like COVID and all that stuff, where people were limited on who they could work with. And then, you know, the economy was pretty rough for a while and people didn't have a lot of money to put toward training. So they picked and chose, and they had a tendency to just kind of stay within one group of people. So I'd love to see that spread out, because I think USAR people are a lot like surfers, you know, where a surfer goes, where are the waves? We go, where's the rubble?
Right.
And so we want to go train with other people and work with other people and learn stuff. And we're constantly, like when I would go back to Texas after being in California or being in Massachusetts or Indiana or wherever, I'd come back and the first question, whether it was Suzanne or even Christy after that, was, what are they doing? What did you learn? So, and that was in front of everybody. So we could tell everybody what they were doing and what we learned.
Yeah.
That will happen eventually. You know, like I said, it's kind of in the bottom part of it, maybe coming out of the bottom part of it.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. People need to take the blinders off there. As that happens, I think a benefit of that will also be a scientific understanding of the sport, understanding why stuff happens. And one of the phrases that this upcoming chicken workshop that we're going to do that you will hear
A lot.
ad nauseum is,
Yes.
if you don't use the science will use you. And that's a fact. The science is there. It always kind of miffs me when I hear somebody in the different political training groups. And when I say political, I'm talking about the way that people train, the different groups. that say, well, my training is science-based. Well, my training is science-based. It's all science-based.
Yeah.
It's all science-based. Every bit of it is. There is no such thing as non-science-based training. So again, understanding that, I spoke with a buddy of mine down in Texas that I started messaging him when I was up in Iowa, and then he and I, when I was sitting at the airport, why they fly me to Chicago before Memphis is a whole other story. But anyway, I'm sitting there in Chicago.
Because it's out of Des Moines.
Yeah. The 2 flights out a day, you got to.
So Ben, he's a professor at Texas A&M, and great scent guy. I mean, he knows his stuff. And he just recently posted something on Facebook. I think his Facebook page, I think it's called Dr. Ben, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they uncovered a bunch of Indian human remains from, I don't know how long ago, 150, 160, 80 years ago, whatever.
Wow.
So I'm very, very interested in that type of stuff. So I sent him a text, what are you using for source material? Because my assumption is old bone. Right? That's what I'm thinking, old bone. And he said, no, we're using regular stuff, but with a very, very heavy fat content. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, they're finding that that fat has like seeped into the soil, and they're literally finding fat.
Oh.
Because that's the body burn.
Yeah.
Right.
And and after he said it, I'm going, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
It makes sense, but I just didn't think about it in that long a time, that long a time span. And that stuff is just cool, and he's talking about it. And he said, I got this from reading research, looking back and reading research and seeing, this is what they used to find it. Like maybe they were training on bones. And he said, in some of these cases, the bones are gone. In some of these cases.
Right.
But some of the fat deposit is still there. That blew me away. Just totally blew me away.
Oh my gosh, the next level of research on fat remaining in soil, differentiating between animal and human.
That's insane.
My brain just went whoa, down that road.
Insane.
Right.
I can't get rid of fat either. I'm having a really good time with that.
You and me both.
Yeah.
I promised Liz I'd work out today.
Well,
anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
And side note, totally all the junk food that we ate this week.
My God.
I hate to tell you this, Robin, but I lost weight this week. I lost 2 pounds.
What the?
I'm not speaking to you. Oh my God. Let's say I found your 2 pounds and added extra.
Ben is Ben Alexander is his name, by the way.
Yeah.
So Dr. Ben, I think it's listed as Dr. Ben, but if not, you can look up Ben Alexander and look at his post on this still, because it was cool. I mean, it's really a rocket deal. Yeah.
Ben does some historic human remains stuff. I think that's his new focus. And I believe he's traditionally a soil scientist.
Oh, wow.
But also
I didn't even realize that was his area of expertise.
Wow.
That's cool.
He runs, him and Tiffany and a group of other people actually.
Tiffany's with Texas Task Force.
Yep, Tiffany is. And so they've got Forest, which is a research facility out of A&M, I think. Yep. I don't know. It's down there. Links in the comments.
Either out of A&M or Texas Tech. I'm not sure which, but anyway, it's out of one of the two. But anyway, the science is huge. And I was also mentioning when you watch earlier when I was talking about what working dog people can take from the sport dog people, I want to reiterate this because I said really good sport dog people, because just like in the working dog world, you see all levels, and you see people that are new, but that are naturally like really super good. I hate those people. No, that's not really.
Right.
No, they're just naturally the way they handle their thought process.
Yeah.
There was a gal on Search One that I used to watch her handle a dog, and every week she handled that dog. It was like she went up an entire level.
Wow.
And it was natural. Her thought processes were natural. I constantly had to rework my thought processes and everything. And learning how to handle and just learning how to train. It didn't come natural to me like it does to some people. So there are a lot of sport dog people that could also benefit from working with these people that are really good to figure out how to do that assessment. But as a whole, those people that are really good at it, though, their ability to assess the room or assess their outdoor area that they're working in is much greater. Now, we also have to consider that their room is a fixed room.
Mm-hmm.
It's not endless in the size that you do. Like I couldn't say we're going to do a nose work trial and I'm going to use a 300,000 square foot building. That ain't going to happen. But I can use a section of that building.
It sounds really
it does,
fun.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I could use a section. I could use a section of that building, knowing that the scent was affected by all 300,000 square feet.
Right.
Yeah.
So that could happen. But the area, is typically going to be quantified because it has to be.
Yep.
But again, the sport dog people, I think the other thing that I see that I would like to see them use more is puzzles. The working dog people, especially again, and I'm going to draw mostly to USAR, okay? But in USAR, and I see this some even with the way some of the police dogs are trained, is the rubble pile is a puzzle. It is. It's not two-dimensional, it's three-dimensional. So it is a puzzle. I believe strongly in the use of puzzles. I want to use puzzles, again, to develop confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use puzzles to get a dog to realize that it's okay to leave odor in order to acquire odor, and that it may have to do that multiple times. I want to use puzzles to increase nose time, which plays into what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use puzzles to get a dog thinking on a three-dimensional level, and as is important, if not more important, to get handlers thinking on three-dimensional levels. And I think working dog people, I see a lot of police dogs. I know Simon Friends likes puzzles. Randy Hare is huge on puzzles. And those are the benefit of those are great. I have had a client that was struggling with the Geo-Scenting stuff. The thing that's bad about classes, and you know this,
Mhm.
you're having to get the weakest person in the class and pull them to stay up with the
Yes.
strongest people in the class.
That's the hard part about an in-person class.
And,
yes.
and it's impossible to do it completely.
Yep.
So the one person that was struggling in the class, and I'll say it was Melissa. She doesn't mind me saying this because she's a rock star. Standard poodle named Merle, some reactivity, some anxiety issues, some things like that. When I'm telling everybody, this is what I want you to work on this week, I'm giving some people some, I need you to work on, working your dog across odor. I need you to work on working your dog so that you're reading body language a little bit better. And I'm giving them exercises to set that stuff up. You need to work your dog on high stuff. You need to work your dog on low stuff, this and this and this. Melissa, I said, I don't want you to do anything but puzzles. That's all I want you to do for the whole week. A week or 2 weeks later, we go back out to Geo-Scent as a group again. Her dog found every one. She read it on every one. Her dog never gave up. Usually you were lucky if you got your dog to search for one of them, and then it would just kind of follow her around. Now her dog stayed engaged. She searched for every one of the 4 geocaches that were sent that we looked for and stayed into that game the whole time. So I can't stress how important puzzles are. If anybody out there is listening and they don't really understand what puzzles are, contact us. Let us know.
Yeah.
There's tons of puzzles out there. I cannot stress how important that is. It's built into USAR.
Yes.
But I do it if I'm training. I don't care what dog I'm training. If I'm training narcotics dogs, if I'm training one for explosives, I'm supposed to get a mole dog on Sunday if the weather will allow it. Then I'm going to start training for a company down in Texas. I will guarantee you before it goes to Texas, it will have done multiple puzzles. That's just a huge thing.
Yeah, multiple kinds of puzzles.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's basically what we're trying to teach our detection dogs to do, no matter what they are, is solve an odor puzzle. And the hard thing for the human is learning how to set those puzzles up so they're not above your dog's pay grade.
Bingo.
Yes.
I was just thinking that. And one of the
Yeah.
requirements that I have for a puzzle is that you can adapt the puzzle on the fly.
Yes.
If I see that I'm getting anywhere close to learned helplessness,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something to alter that puzzle for success. And then my next incremental change will be it's going to remove a lot of that pressure,
Yeah.
to stair step it a little bit more. So if I could set up the same puzzle for a half dozen dogs, and I may end up having to alter that puzzle on the fly for 3 of them,
Mhm.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But if you set up something that's so rigid that you can't change it, you're going to have a detrimental effect on your training. Yeah.
Absolutely. And FYI, everybody, we talk about all of the adjusting criteria stuff in the chicken workshops
Yep,
because
yep.
the chickens are really, really good at teaching you, dude, you went too far, too fast. And I'm just going to fly
Yep.
off the table.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, guys. Bob will have you back again because I have more questions, but
Okay,
we're running
all right.
out of time.
Yep.
Takeaways.
So I would have to say that my takeaway, like just a big one, is that, just learning across from each other is just, it's a big takeaway for the whole podcast and everything. It's just that, try to don't just focus inward on what you kind of already know, or, don't turn into that echo chamber, right?
Right.
Is branch out, reach out to other people with different experiences, and whether that's a different instructor or what have you, just or a seminar, even if it's not another instructor, even if it's a seminar or something like that, to grow and get different perspectives. So absolutely.
Bob, did you have any takeaways?
Yeah. Kind of along the same lines. There have been people that say train with some techniques that I'd never used. But I can't tell you the number of those same people that have taught me stuff that I use on a daily basis. And it may be something where it's not necessarily how they did it, but it's something that they did. And I look at why they did it. And then because I took the time to go learn from that person, I come up with my way of reaching that same goal.
Right.
That's the coolest thing. I know somebody that was in like the positive reinforcement based training camp that got really upset sometime when they saw somebody who was an e-collar trainer putting out a bunch of videos of doing behaviors that they had taught their dog using positive reinforcement. And they got really upset with it. And I said, wow, what a compliment.
Yeah.
They saw at least they saw the benefit of what you were doing, even if they disagreed with kind of how you were doing it. They
Right.
saw the benefit of what you were doing and came up with their own way. And conversely, I've watched something and said, wow, I want to do that with my dog. Okay, now what's my training plan? How am I going to achieve that goal? You don't have to do stuff the same way everybody does, but learn what they do and why they want to do it. And that's what we got to learn from.
Well, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. And since Bob and I spent like lots of hours together over the last week,
Yeah.
both of us agreed we learn a lot from auditing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
if I go someplace, I may not agree with how that person trains, but like
Mhm.
Bob said, I will go to audit. And I know Stacy and I have talked about this frequently. Sometimes when you go to audit, you relieve the pressure of having to handle your dog. You have no performance anxiety.
Yeah.
Bingo.
And I get still playing in the bird dog world. I go out and I show up and I'm literally like, okay, I just want to learn what you're doing. I want to ask questions why you're doing it. I can watch you and tell what your methodologies are. And then I go back and I'm like, okay, if I want to do this with my dog, how do I want to do it the way that I want to train it?
Right.
And it helps us have a better conversation about training and not about methods.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because that's the important thing. Yeah, exactly that.
I know Stacy and Karen, Bob's better half, are in the middle.
Sorry, Bob.
She's both better looking and smarter than I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
You guys, both the Stacy and Karen have stuff like registration stuff going on for classes, right?
Yes, we do. Fenzi Dog Sports Academy. Lots of classes that I know Karen's got a really cool one going on. And I don't know. I mean, if Bob wants to mention it or I can mention it.
Yeah. In fact, I'm sitting here. I'm going to look up the title real quick so I don't.
Okay. Well, then I'll talk about mine while you do that.
Talk about yours. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got 3 classes going on. So if you want to get started in nosework, you haven't done it before, that's my introduction to nosework, which is NW 101. That started if you're at the point where you want to just work on some fundamentals. I've got a really cool class called NW 175, Fun with Fundamentals, which is really, it's a games-based type of class that kind of builds on those core qualities of searching. And then I've got NW 455, which is Converging Odor Deep Dive. That one, a signature approach to building skills to help the dog to re-engage immediately after a hide, and helps to build those beautiful close proximity and converging odor hides. So that's what I'm teaching now, and classes start February 1st.
Very cool. Yeah. Karen is doing the dopamine dive, the box feeding deal.
Mm-hmm.
That, in fact, this is case in point. She got this from a balanced trainer world where they had developed that for bite sports. That's where she got it from, because she took the time to say, "Oh, that's kind of cool. What's that?" And so she started looking at that, and she's applied it to the behavior world, dealing with dogs that maybe are dealing with some anxiety, some fear, some reactivity, stuff like that. And it is super sexy, this deal that she set up on this. When she gets something set up, I get to look at everything. So we'll sit here and we'll kind of go through it and look at things. And it is way beyond cool, this deal that she's doing. So
awesome.
That'll be coming up again in February.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Awesome.
will put that link for registrations in the show notes. So make sure to check those out. There will also be a link for the chicken workshops, which we have coming up in March. So make sure you get registered for those.
Oh, do that. I can't tell you that did more for my training than anything I've ever done in my life.
Same.
That's super cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same. I think you could constitute this as Bob and I, our love letter to the training industry.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Because if we didn't love you, there is no way we would have done what we had to do last week. It was brutal.
On
It was brutal.
Metal folding chairs, if nothing else.
Oh,
So
yeah. My rear end is about 4 feet wide now from sitting on those chairs.
Lots of patootie problems at this point.
More information than you needed, but that's okay. So,
Oh,
okay, Bob, thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you back.
you bet. All right.
And everybody else, go train.
Canine Detection Collaborative.